Hi guys, welcome back to another Photos Go video. This channel is where we discuss and learn new skills around the topics of design and development. If you want to grow your skills and learn new things that's coming up, please subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to smash that like button for me. This really helps me to create more content. In this video, we'll be learning on how we can add continuous integration CI with Github Actions running inside of Cypress test in headless mode. In short, we'll be running Cypress in CI/CD. Talking about headless mode, I always think of this zombies. Yes, we'll be also taking a look into running our tests in parallel with Cypress dashboard, which you can find in the official Cypress documentation right here. Yes, Cypress has a dashboard, and I was completely blown away when I knew this. It's sort of free for hobbyist plan, and with this dashboard you can see our test has been recorded, and you can see a list of tests that has been recorded. Will be like record our test with running a CI/CD pipeline with Github Actions. With that CI, we could also add some of the great use some of the great features like orchestrating a test running across multiple machines, providing us a rich analytics and diagnostics, where you can find more about this. And we could also generate these kind of charts we will go through, these are really great resources, and we'll be integrating those inside with our favorite tools. This is really powerful, and we could leverage and use Cypress to manage all the testing stuffs for us, which is great. So I have created a blank Vite and React project from scratch, and we'll be adding Cypress here in this project, and also I'll be taking a lot of reference with this particular article, which is learncypress.io/tutorials, where we have Next.js and Shopify store, and its official learning docs from the Cypress team. And we'll be using this kind of approach inside of our Vite and React with Cypress using Github Actions. So let's go ahead and see our project, and let's go ahead and add Cypress inside of our project with npx install Cypress. So let's go to get started and install Cypress, npm install Cypress -d, and it will add Cypress to our dev dependency right here. After Cypress has been added as a dev dependency right here, we could also run Cypress. Now let's go ahead and npm run dev. So we have this project currently running in port 5173 for us, and we don't have any signs of Cypress yet, and this is just boring Vite and React project. So let's go ahead and add some Cypress in the mix. So let's stop the server, and we will add some commands inside of our scripts here. So the commands that we'll be adding are particularly dealing with Cypress. So we will paste that two commands inside of here. Let's go ahead and save it, and we could now run npx run a Cypress open, so that we could run the Cypress command in headless mode, and I mean not in headless mode, in the browser environment. So npm run Cypress open. So let's go ahead and do it. And by the way, we will also minimize this stuff because we'll be running this test in multiple browsers, so we could switch between the browsers. So I'm continuing with end-to-end test because we will be writing a basic end-to-end test because we will be focusing mostly on creating continuous integration with Cypress. So it's just a basic test. So let's go ahead and name this test. For now, I'll just be naming apptest.sci.js, and this looks happy. Let's go ahead and create the spec. So currently we could just see app test, which is just one file, and there was a duplication before, and after clicking on it, it visits the page, which is this particular test. So it's fine. So now let's go ahead and add some tests. Before that, I will just visit app.jsx, and inside here we want to make some changes. So I'll just go ahead and add some changes here, and the changes are a data attribute, data test attribute, so that we could use it, data dash sci, and use and name it app button. Now this completely looks happy. Let's go ahead and go inside of our E2E, and inside here I want to just paste a few lines of tests that I've written. You could definitely complain that this is a dirty piece of test that I've written. Yes, I do like accept that. We could use some ADS or maybe a plugin inside of Cypress, but this is just for educational purpose, for integrating CI, GitHub Action with Cypress. So we won't be diving into that. Let's go ahead and see that in action, and we could refresh this stuff. And as you can see, we have some problem here. Let's go ahead and stop the server. And the problem is we forgot to add environment variables inside of E2E right here. So let's go ahead and add the environment variables that we need, which would be a base URL. So let's go ahead and add a base URL, which would be HTTPS, the local host that's running, which is this one. And let's add it here, and we'll add a comma and hit save. Looks like we have a small error here. It's probably some selection problem with the get. So let's go ahead and check what we have written here. And as we can see here, our test has all passed. Let's go ahead and push this current progress in GitHub, and after that we'll be dealing with adding a CI, a continuous integration with GitHub Actions. So I've pushed all the current code inside of GitHub, and you can see here, and we'll be dealing with a lot of things inside of settings, inside of secrets, and we'll be creating some new repository secrets here. So before diving in that, let's go ahead and add like actions inside of this project. So we can go to actions, and you can see we do have a lot of actions inside here, where we could also go and search for Cypress test or anything, but we will be dealing and writing our own YAML files inside of our folder. So the good news is that GitHub Actions is already supported for Cypress tests, and we all we have to do is to configure it. So for configuration, I will just create a new .github directory, and inside that directory I will be creating another directory, call it workflows, and inside that workflow directory I'll be creating a main.yaml file, and that's a YAML file for our GitHub Actions to work. So before we write any of the YAML files, I want to point you out to the great resource that we'll be referencing throughout, which is Learn Cypress Tutorials. Let's go to Learn Cypress Tutorial. Okay, so inside this particular tutorial that has created by Cypress team, we want to go to we wrote our basic like end-to-end test with Cypress, but you want to dive into learn more about end-to-end test, then I recommend you this particular video, which would be popping out sliding to your right, and also you can find link in the description down below if you want to learn more about end-to-end tests with Cypress. And we are particularly interested in running our test with GitHub Actions. By the way, this particular article learning resource does include like everything written for Next.js, but we'll be using it for just Vue React project. And as in the resource here that we can see. We can create new files and called main.yaml, and we created that, and we have to give our workflow a name, and which we can give it any name, and it just calls E2E on Chrome, and it has the on directive, which is this on, and this tells that GitHub to run this workflow each time the push is made to the repository. Okay, so we will write something like this. So now let's go ahead and go to our main.yaml file. Inside of our YAML file, we will write name, which should be run Cypress tests, and we will also add an on directive, and inside here we will listen to any push in the repository, and the list of jobs that we want to run after the push is we should indent this YAML file, because YAML is really sensitive to spaces, so basically something you write in Python. And inside here we could add it should install these commands, these lines below. So what it should do, it should install and it runs on Ubuntu. We have a single install job which runs on latest version of Ubuntu. Then underneath the steps directive, we are using the Github Actions inside of steps, which is this one. So I want to just go ahead and copy paste it because I want to write it myself. But we could also use I already wrote it before, so I will just go ahead and copy stuffs for now, but you should write stuffs on your own. So I want to go until this one, and let's copy this and go inside here and just paste this, and we have 2 installs here, but we don't need 2 installs, and let's indent this properly. And step should be just indented to runs on, so this should be here, and now everything looks fine, but we want to add changes to this. Now the next changes that we want to add is we want to add some names inside of steps. So another step that we'll be dealing it with is install modules. We will just write install modules, and we will add npm ci over here, and also add Cypress run, which runs Cypress version 3. So if you are using the latest version of Cypress, you should as v3. If not, v2 is probably deprecated or so. So let's add v3 there. And after with right here, what we could do is we want to use a browser. The browser that we'll be using is Chrome, and we will be running in obviously the headless mode, which is true. And also we want to start our app with this particular command, which is npm run dev, and we want to wait for this particular, which is like wait on directive. You can also take a reference to this, which is wait on. Tells the Cypress to make sure that our local host is up and listening and running before it gets our test. So you can also check out what these particular directive tells us to do to Cypress. So you can check the docs. Meanwhile, I would just add changes. We should wait to HTTP. Probably it's HTTPS. Oh no, it's HTTP, and we want to listen or make sure that this is running, which is localhost and port 5173, which is the application that's running on, and we want to also add some environment variables. So to add some environment variables, we should write env directive, and inside this env directive we should grab any environment variables that we need. So currently we don't have any environment variables, but we will be needing the Cypress record key when we are covering about Cypress dashboard. So let's skip this for now. I assume this would be fine. Let's go ahead and indent it. Make sure that you have the YAML syntax highlighter extension installed if you don't have, and I'll just push this and let's see what happens. So I've added a bit of change inside of our YAML files. It looked like some spaces were missing or so. So I've just formatted everything and I just pushed the changes, and it's third time, and it's running the YAML file for us inside of our actions. So which is great. So if you want to dive into, let's go ahead and click on it, and we could see some thing happening inside there. Looks like something is going on, which is installing some needed packages or so, and it's probably installing Cypress for us, and looks like we have successfully completed our job, I mean CI job. So which is great, right? So now what we want to do is we added now we could also see the green, the not green, but it should be green, but it's a tick mark right here. So that means our CI continuous integration for Cypress has been added to our master branch, and we could also it automatically, I assume it automatically adds to other branches if you are creating a PR. So let's now go ahead and add some changes here. So now what we want to do is we want to introduce the Cypress dashboard. So to introduce a Cypress dashboard, we also want to create some like parallel tests going on. So let's go ahead and see that inside of our reference docs. So inside this doc, I'll bring the doc here. We already have added the GitHub secrets. Now we didn't use any of the GitHub secrets. So if we needed to use GitHub secrets, we could add it inside of settings actions and add it right here with the key value pairs kind of thing. And yeah, this is how it should look like if you are creating your MR for master branch, and it should create something like this, which is great, right? So now until this point we have added GitHub Actions inside of our Cypress. Let's go ahead and add some parallel like tests inside of our project along with the Cypress dashboard. So in order to create that one, we need to go to the Cypress dashboard. Let's go ahead and click that link and get started for free, and it's absolutely free. And inside project we could create a new project. I've already added or created Cypress GitHub Actions, and this is a different project. It uses dash, not like underscore. So we could create a new project and call it the same name that we have for the application, which is Cypress with GitHub Actions, all underscore. And we could add a CI provider here, which is GitHub Actions. And this is currently invited to users. I suppose this could be just private for now. Okay, so now the main thing is right here, which is if you are using a version of like version 10 of Cypress, then you should use this. So inside of your cypress.config.js file, go ahead and like copy this project ID, and this project ID should not be shared with anyone. I will be like changing that later on, renewing that project ID. So inside of our Cypress config, let's go inside of Cypress config, and let's go ahead and add this inside here. which is just a project ID. And it's better we could use environment variables for this, and it's highly recommended you should use it. So I'm just using it plain text right there. And after that's done, let's go ahead and copy this particular command, and we want to run that particular command so that we could see some reflection inside of our Cypress dashboard. Okay, so we'll copy this record key and paste it inside of our terminal. Let's go ahead and paste it, and looks like our test is running and 2 tests has passed, and the video of our test is also being generated. So inside of our videos we can see our test video right here. And the interesting thing is, if you take a look at your project that has been created inside of dashboard cypress.io, we can see this particular latest runs, which reflects this particular test has passed. And what are the percentage of failing? We just added demo test, so it's just for demo purpose, pass, failing, and pending, skipped, and total. And also you can see the spec file. You can also see the bar charts. As we have just 2 tests, so it doesn't show up a bar chart, but you could even explore the dashboard really more. So there are a lot of features that we could cover in the dashboard. And now let's go ahead and copy this record key, because we'll be needing it inside of our settings. So now I will go to secrets and add as a new repository secret and paste that secret right there, and we will name the secret Cypress record key. Let's go ahead and paste it and add the secret. Okay, after this secret has been successfully added, now what we can do is we can now go ahead and do another thing that we were talking about, which is adding parallel test with Cypress dashboard. All right, to add parallel tests with Cypress dashboard, we already added the Cypress record key inside of our GitHub. So we need to now make some changes inside of our package.json, which is what we want to do is, let's clear this one out, and let's also close this because we won't need that now. And when during the run, what we want to do is we want to also record stuff, because we want to record videos like we did. So we will add this record flag when we run this Cypress run command, because we basically ran a different command before, which is given by this dashboard. So now the other stuff that we want to change is we want to run that and record the videos. Okay, so when are we running it? So for the parallel execution, what we want to do is we want to make some changes inside of our files, which is this particular lines where it says run parallel test, and inside here the changes that that we can see here is adding a strategy directive. And what it says is when we want to trigger any Github Actions, when on push happens, we want to get into this particular step where we have added the parallel true, which tells the dashboard that we want to run the test in parallel. And which we want to do is we want to spin up the 3 containers. And I haven't really gone that deep into what are the containers and what are the stuff like that, but you could still like explore things out. And we will just use this particular thing, which is strategy, and fail fast should be false, and the matrix of this directive, and inside here we'll spin up the 3 containers needed, which is 1, 2, and 3.
which will really split up our workflow into multiple jobs, and install the job will run first, right? So which could be something like this, which should be like multiple jobs running at the same time. So to make this reflection, let's go ahead and change this inside of our main.yaml file and add strategy there. So inside of our runs all, we want to add strategy, and the strategy would be fail fast, and set this to true as per the documentation. And we also want to make the use of another directive, which is matrix, and inside matrix we want to spin up 3 containers. So and the 3 containers are 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so after that's done, another change that we need to do is inside of our with directive here, which is a browser Chrome headless true, and record, we can also add record to true, because we will be recording our tests, and also add parallel to true, because we want to test our test to run in parallel, which is these, right? So one last thing, we can also add an env environment variables, which can be grabbed from the secret that we just added inside of our GitHub, which is inside of settings we added a secret, which is this one. So how can we access this particular thing inside of our YAML file? Well, we could also make the use of env directive. So we will introduce this env directive, where we will add our Cypress record key, and that's key of Cypress record key. And after that's done, let's go ahead and save it, and let's see what happens. I just pushed some code to the repository, and it's running the test. And as you can see here, we can see 0.3 jobs complete. And so this is running test, parallel execution mode. So we are running 3 parallel tests right now, which is great, right? So we successfully have done our integrated GitHub Actions inside of our React Cypress application, and we run our test in parallel with the Cypress dashboard, which is what we have right now. And as you can see, it's also reflected in the dashboard, and also it's being reflected in this particular place where we can see actions, and it successfully passed, which is a great news. And we could also see some great stuff inside of our dashboard. So guys, we just scratched the surface of the Cypress dashboard, and there is a lot of tons of things that you can explore. In this video, we generally learned about how we could configure CI, continuous integration with GitHub Actions, and make that use inside of our Cypress React applications. And we also ran some parallel tests with multiple containers. I hope you learned something new from this. If you want to dive more, please do get a reference to the documentation, and also a lot of these applications are here. So this is the place where you could find the example project in the official documentation inside of Cypress. It's inside dashboard, introduction, example projects, and this is the exact location hash. So basically this is it. I hope you learned something new from this. So if you want to learn more around the topics of design and development, please subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to smash the like button for me. This really helps me to create more content. Thanks a lot, guys. See you in the next one.